All right, so the first step is we're going to go ahead and get our soapy water on the left side. We're going to have our rinse station here, sanitize over there. So first step, fill up your soap water side, far left. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is first take the lid off. So we're going to take our holder off, pop that off right there. We're going to take this off the lip and make sure that that lifts. And we're going to carry it over to the rinse station. We're going to get the extra batter off and make sure that we have most of the excess batter off that's stuck to it before it goes in the soapy water. You're still going to have a little bit of batter on there. We're not trying to get it totally clean. We're just getting the excess batter off so it doesn't get our water too dirty too quickly. But that's good. And then we just pop that in, and then we'll get ready for the next step. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is get the bowl off. So there's two safety latches on either side. So the first thing we're going to do is take those off. So you're just going to pull. If I can get it. Oh, wait, sorry. You push in and then pull out. And on the other side, we push in and we pull out. Then we can unscrew. The bottom. Yeah, lefty-loosey. And there's also a sealant ring, which we'll grab that in just a second. Let's go ahead. Put that over here. We're going to rinse out the excess batter. Because this batter's been on there for a while, we're just going to go ahead and scrub it. So to scrub, I'm just going to use a brush. And we're going to break up all this batter that's stuck on the inside. And scrub it until the whole thing's clean. Once you get the inside clean, then we start working on the outside. Just get all the excess batter off. All right, so once your bowl looks clean, you get all of the batter both out of the inside and the outside. You just want to make sure it's rinsed. And then we're going to wipe it down with a dry towel. And it'll be good. Okay, so after we took the big bowl off, you'll notice that there's a sealing ring right here. We're going to set that into our designated bucket. We're going to have a lot of these types of rings as we continue to disassemble. This is where those are going to go, and we're going to clean those separately. We want to make sure we do that first. Our next step is going to be to take off the front of the dispenser. And so First thing we need to do is unhook the compression cords. And so to do so, we're going to pull out. And this one, the black one, pushes in, and then we pull that out. And then we have... All right, and so you've got a holder right here that's hanging from the left side. You just want to attach this, well, to hold that.
That keeps the water out of it.
Keeps the water out of it.
Okay.
All right, so now we need to take this part off. Now that we've got it disconnected, we're just going to unscrew this piece. Comes right out. Set this aside. Yep. And then this pulls. You pull out to release. It has a mechanism where it slides in here. So when you pull it out, it'll be situated like that. All you have to do, pull up and slide out. In this piece, you've got your O-ring sealers that will need to come out. You're going to use this tool to get underneath there and twist. And it'll come right off. This goes in your bucket. Then we do the second piece. Whoops. And that goes in your bucket as well. We'll give this a quick rinse. And into the soap. Now we're going to take off the next part of the front end. We're going to loosen this clasp. Pops right out.
That comes right off.
Here's another sealant ring. It's going to go in our bucket. Rinse this out. And into the soap. All right, so now we need to take off the rest of this front mechanism. So the first thing is going to be to pull the pin, which has the red knob on the end. You're going to pull that out. It has a little lock here that you need to make sure is pulled up. As I slide around here, you'll use this pin to put through the holes of this knob. And then you'll use those to work that piece out and get batter all over your shoe. So, the joys. All right, we go back to our little tool. We're going to take these O-rings off. Same way we did before. Just twist around and it'll release into the bucket. Oops. Into the bucket. Another rinse. Into the soap. All right, our next step is we're going to pull off this next piece that's connected to your tube. One thing I'm going to do is go ahead and lock the wheels. Just press on these. There we go. It's got a nice little jiggle there. And then we can just rinse this and get it in the soap. and into the soap. All right, so now we got to get the tube off. And so all we're going to do is grab here, and we're going to kind of just work it off, just pull, and it just gradually slides. Helps if you kind of rotate it. And there we go. And we are going to grab this O-ring. Oops. Into the bucket. We're going to give it a rinse. And into the soap. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, so now we just need to take this piece off. So all we're going to do is rotate, and it just slides right off of there. And we're going to grab the ring off. Quick rinse. So, okay, now that we've got everything disassembled, soaking in the soapy water, we just want to give it a wipe down to make sure that the machine's clean. Okay, so for the excess batter that may have fallen off the parts onto the machine, it's easiest just to wipe the main part of it up with paper towels and throw them away. Then take a cloth, dip it in your soapy water, and then you can use that to wipe down the rest of the machine. Make sure there's no sticky parts left. Want to make sure that nothing is too dirty for when we want to use it again. We don't want any parts sticking. We want everything to work the way that it's supposed to. And so we want to make sure that it's well taken care of and kept clean. All right, so now that we've got all of our components in soapy water, we just want to spend time going through each one. We've got different brushes and cleaning tools to use. The important thing is to make sure that you get into every crevice, every tube, and make sure that all the batter is fully cleaned out. And then we'll move them over to the rinse sink, rinse them all off, and send them through the dishwasher. All right, so once we have everything washed with soap, we move it over to the rinse side, and we just want to make sure that we're getting all of the remaining soapy suds and soap water off. Make sure it's rinsed well. Make sure that you did, in fact, get everything clean. There shouldn't be any cheesecake batter residue anywhere remaining. And then once you finish rinsing, we will dry everything, lubricate our rings, and then we'll get everything put back together. Obviously, before we lubricate the rings, we have our bucket of rings that we need to clean first. I think the best way to do that is to take your bucket and just get a little soapy water in there and give them a good rinse, good clean. Getting all of the cheesecake batter off. And then once they are all clean, go right back in, give them a good rinse. And then those will be ready to go back on. All right, before we can start to lubricate our rings and get them back on our equipment, we want to set them aside, make sure that they're dried. And so set them on a towel, off on the table, go through. Just want to pat everything down and make sure they're all dried. Okay, so now that we've got our rings cleaned, dried, all of our parts are cleaned, they've been rinsed. Now we just need to make sure that this all gets dried. And so we're just going to go through, dry each piece, and then set it on the dry counter. So all of our parts have been dried, and so we want to go ahead and start the reassembly process. The first thing that we need is to start getting the O-rings back onto our pieces. And so I'm going to work our way from the smallest O-rings up to the largest, just going piece by piece so you can see what that looks like. So we're going to start with our smallest O-rings. First thing we want to do is lubricate. Just get a little bit on your finger and smear it, and then just work it around that ring. Make sure that you cover the whole thing. And then get our tool, which I left over here. In the same way that we took it off, we just want to use our tool to work it back into those grooves. Just like that. And we get our next one. A little bit more. A little bit goes a long way. I'll just rotate it around until it's fully covered. And it slides right back on. So that's our first piece. The next smallest is going to go on our tube. So I'm just rotating this through my fingers with all the grease. And then we're just going to slide that. Slips right on. Next. Is going to be this piece with the little knob. Put that on. Slips right over. Last but not least, big hog molly. Nice and greased. And then slips right on. And now we've got all of our O-rings assembled. We'll go ahead and grease our gasket rings as well. These are going to go on as we're assembling. And so we'll just go ahead and grease these up. These have a few little ridges in them, so just make sure you work it into those ridges and all around the interior and exterior sections. And there we go. All right, so this is the first piece we're going to put back on. It's going to go inside of our large tube. So you'll notice that the grooves on the piece will fit perfectly into this right here. And so we're just going to slide that on and then turn it so that it sits. Then we're going to take our large tube. We're going to slide it in and just work it until it has a nice seal. And it'll lock right there.
Okay, go.
All right, now we got our big block that is going to fit onto the end of the cylinder. And what we're going to do is set it on the end and have it rest. And then you can just slide it right in. And it should pop right into that. That's going to be really important when we start this next piece, that this is all the way in. So you want to make sure that there's no light in this crease, but that it's all the way on. Okay, so next we're going to put this piece back in. It's going to fit inside the block. If you'll remember, we had to use the pin with the red knob to pull it out. It's really important. If you've been greasing your O-rings, you're probably going to need a rag to help you out. This is a little bit of a, you need a little force behind it. So we're going to make sure that the wide open end is facing up, and you're going to start to push it in. And as it comes through the other side, it has to fit into this mechanism on the other side. And once you get it lined up and set, you can just kind of give it a little pop, a little tap, and there it goes. And you're all set. All right, once you have your piece assembled in your block, then you're just going to take that same pin that you used to pull that out, and you're going to push that through that bottom and lock everything in place. All right, now we want to fit the end piece. And so the first thing we want to do is take our gasket ring and put it on the end of the nose here. And it should sit kind of right in there. And then we put our nose right over that, and there's little grooves that it fits into nicely. It'll sit nice and flush. Once we do that, we put our clamp on, and then we just tighten that down. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. In this case, righty-tighty. All right, now this is the piece that we had connected when we very first began. It's the mechanism that goes in the very front of the depositor. And so the first thing we want to do, much like we did in the large tube, this has a little groove that this slides right in, connects there. And then we want to have the hole facing up so that it aligns with this tube. And then we just push that in, and it'll lock right here. There's a little. Then we take our other clamp, and that's what's going to hold this in. And then tighten it down. Okay, now that we've got the full front end assembled, remember the cords, the hoses, I should say, that we disassembled before. We just want to get those back into place so that everything works right. The black one goes there. Red one, just pull that, push in, and it'll fit there. Now we're going to get the bowl back on, and so we want to take our last gasket ring. You'll notice based on the way that it's shaped that it'll fit nicely on that top. Then we'll grab our bowl, and we're just going to fit this right on top and then tighten it down. Then we take our safety pieces and we fit those into the sides. And last but not least, we can take our top. Want to lean it forward to fit that front piece in first. The rest falls into place. And then our safety piece goes on. And we're all cleaned up. We're ready to go for tomorrow.